Hello and welcome to Let's Walk About It. Today's subject for mine and Lola's walk, here she is focus. Another word for focus is attention. I was often, as a child, in trouble for not paying attention. I was often told to pay attention, pay attention. As an adult, I've actually learned that rather than pay attention, I prefer to invest attention. But that's a topic for another Let's Walk About It. The reason I want to talk about focus is that we're living in an age where we are struggling with focus. Johann Hari has written a wonderful book called Stolen Focus, which is all about how the way we live in the modern world is stealing our attention, stealing our focus. So many things distract us and stop us from focusing on what's important for us. You've only got to look in the newspapers, turn on the television, listen to the news, and you can see how our focus could be perceived as being stolen away. You know, so many of us are not able to invest our attention on what we need to do for ourselves, health and wellbeing, living our lives in a way that's more aligned with nature and who we truly are. So many people, I think over 80% of people don't enjoy the work they're in. So in terms of focusing on the right career for ourselves, focusing on the right path that we want to take. So easy to be distracted and so easy to be forced down a route that isn't necessarily in our best interests, may well be in someone else's best interests. And focus is very interesting. I was reading an article a few months ago suggesting that there's two types of focus. There's the focus that I was more aware of, which is what's called spotlight focus, or like torchlight focus. Imagine going into a dark room and exploring that room with a torch. You'd only have a small, narrow beam, and so you'd be able to see whatever was in that ring of light, but everything else would be in darkness. And we have this very intense ability to focus as human beings. Something to do, I think, with our eyes being on the front of our heads and very close together, allows us to be able to sort of hone in and sort of spot, point and shoot. I mean, I guess it's probably developed. It's probably been something through evolution that's come from our hunter ancestors who were able to sit very still, I guess, and spot something in the undergrowth and then be able to hit it with whatever projectile was being fired at it. And that's a skill that we have, and we can do that physically very well. You see that in sports people that are very, very accurate, in darts players, for instance, or people who shoot in archery. We have this amazing ability to point at something and then intensely focus on it and achieve it. We see that in goal setting. People who have a very clear and precise goal of what they want to do and what they want to be in the future can focus on that, and that laser-like focus supposedly helps us to get to that goal. However, I've discovered that having that intense focus, particularly that intense focus in the mind, is very tiring and burns up a lot of neurochemicals in the brain. So long periods of time staring at a screen, long periods of time focusing on work with that's in one place, focused all our concentration in one area, drains this neurochemical in our brains and can leave us feeling a bit like a flat battery, leave us feeling quite exhausted and tired out. Not physically exhausted, but mentally exhausted. That's the one kind of focus. lots of benefits to it, but if we do it too long and we do it too often, we can drain ourselves of energy and burn ourselves out. The other type of attention and focus I wasn't really conscious of, wasn't really aware of. However, with what I'm doing in nature, now I've become more aware of it. I recognise that's what I'm doing when I'm out in nature, and it's more of what's called lantern focus, or lighthouse focus, where you're, rather than focusing a narrow beam in one direction, you're illuminating. It's a peripheral focus. So it's more of a, rather than a sharp, intense focus, it's more of a relaxed and 180, 360 focus, a peripheral focus. And in the same way as I talked about the hunters in us that were, and the idea with a hunter that could sort of pinpoint something and focus on it intently and get it. That's very much a predatory skill. The prey of those predators would have had the lantern focus, the global 360 focus. And we see that again with animals that have their eyes on the sides of their heads. They have a much wider, much more peripheral view. So they can see these predators when they come, and quite often the way prey escapes is because it has that peripheral vision, but two, it also has that awareness that the predator doesn't have. Because unlike the single focus, going back to what I talked about with the torch, going into a room with a narrow beam, it's like going into a room, switching the light on. You can kind of see anything. It's enlightening. And mindfulness, walking in nature with mindfulness, is really where I've been using this lantern focus in an unconscious way quite often, because I didn't have a way of describing it. I didn't have a way of understanding it. But now I do. I understand the benefits of having this peripheral vision, this peripheral soundscape. I talk about landscape and soundscape. I mean, there's a wonderful landscape around me now. I mean, look at those clouds over there. There's certainly stormy weather coming, but it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love coming out in weather like this. There's less people out here for a start because they're all tucked up at home. But this ability to see more widely, to hear more widely, to feel all around me. This form of focus, unlike the spotlight focus, unlike that, rather than be intense, this is more natural and comfortable. Many people who are struggling with focus and attention, we hear a lot about attention deficit disorder, and there's also a condition when we're using too much of that narrow focus, how it drains us and makes us fatigued, some sort of attention fatigue, direct attention fatigue, I think it's called. So there's lots now of conditions that people are recognising and people are suffering from, where if they could learn to maybe reduce their amount of direct focus, intense focus, and step back and relax a little and widen out the focus. I mean, imagine trying to find something you've lost with just a little torch in the middle of a field like this. But if you were able to shine a big light on it, you'd be able to find it so much easier. So there's a more relaxing and a more easier way of using focus, which is to use this lantern focus. But then using direct focus when you need to sort of become a little bit more specific about what you're considering and becoming aware of, and maybe going a little deeper and seeing more than just headlines, going down into the body of the text, for instance. So it's about learning to use both of these awarenesses, both of these focuses. So I'll leave you with that, leave you to contemplate that a little more. If you've got any thoughts around these two types of focus, if you know of any other types of focus you'd like to share with me, if you've got some wonderful examples of focus and how each of these focuses work for you, maybe you are somebody that's struggling with direct attention fatigue, or somebody that's struggling with attention disorders. Please get in touch with me, because there's lots and lots of ways going out into nature, practicing mindfulness can alleviate some of the struggle and stress that comes from having challenges with attention and with focus. So get in touch with me if you'd like to, and please subscribe to this channel if this is the first time you're here and you haven't already subscribed. Please share it with other people, and yes, I've also got an online group now, so people that have watched these videos and would like to go into a little bit more depth with them and would like to ask me questions about them are joining the online community. I'll put a link underneath this video in the description of this video, so that you can come and join us on there if you'd like to too. So thank you for listening. Thank you for walking with Lola and I today, and I look forward to walking with you again very soon. Take care now. Bye bye.